It's Oklahoma Archery. Everything archery based out of Oklahoma for Oklahomans. Let's get it started. Hello, everybody. I am David Bosca.
I'm Nickel Neal, and today, everybody, we got Ronnie Plummer with us. How you doing, Ronnie?
I can't complain right now.
Cloud 9 for anybody living under a rock. Ronnie is fresh off his first national win at the big Mathews ASA Pro-Am in Metropolis, Illinois. And Ronnie didn't do it shooting a Mathews. He also didn't do it shooting an Elite. So, Ronnie, you switched bows right before this tournament, and we'll get into the weather updates in just a little while. But tell everybody, what were you shooting? How did you pull it off? And what was the first thing you did once you realized you were the champion of the semi-pro class?
About a week before we left for Metropolis, I made the decision to switch to a Sequel 35. I was having some struggle bus issues, tuning issues, grouping issues, just was not real confident with that bow. And like I said, a week before, I went to the bow shop, set one up, and 2 days later, we shot the Haskell's Choctaw Archery's state shoot. I shot the bow well, did not judge well there, but I think that Haskell sets up a range that stumps a lot of the judgers. You know, he kind of takes pride in doing that. So we left there and went to Metropolis. I had confidence in the bow, but just wasn't confident. Went out there and went to the bags and make sure, you know, the bow was hitting behind the pin. And I'm one that takes advantage of the team shoot. Shot even, and, you know, for my team shoot deal, had a couple 8s, had a couple 12s, handful of 10s. So I was slowly building my confidence up, and then, you know, Friday just went out there and went after it and shot, you know, one of my personal best rounds and just had a good day of shooting. You know, didn't have to worry about what the bow was doing. I was able to focus on myself, my course management, my shot process, just everything to execute a good day of shooting.
Man, well, it was a day. It wasn't just your best round. It was the best round. You remember what I told you right before you went out there?
Yeah, I do believe I remember what you said. And, you know, you kind of – it's funny when you joke around like that, then reality hits and you're on the range and you look down and, you know, your buddy's saying, hey, you're 14 up right now. And you're like, what? Like, oh crap, like let's keep on trucking, you know. And you know, I did make a bad shot and a bad decision, like a gameplay decision that, you know, it hurt me on a few points and ended up finishing 10 up. But all in all, you know, it still put me where I needed to be at for the day.
You thought I was joking when I said you're going to shoot 14 up. I wasn't joking, man. I'm telling you, it makes a difference. That bow will shoot.
Yes.
The Darton Sequel 35 is, and there's more and more people that are rolling out with them. I'm still shooting the 37 because I'm a full-grown boy. But as soon as hunting season rolls around, I know what I'm going to be shooting in the woods. Well, tell everybody kind of what your preparation week looks like going into a pro-am. Y'all drive up y'all get there Wednesday or Thursday early?
Well, we try to leave Wednesday morning and you know, make the haul and then try to get there, wake up Thursday, like I said, take advantage of the team shoot. This week we did not get to, so we left Wednesday afternoon, drove halfway, I think, Willow Springs, Missouri, woke up Thursday morning early enough to get out there and get out to the practice range, get kind of stretched in, and then make the team shoot. So I did not get a lot of time with that bow. I probably, you know, showed up to Metropolis with probably maybe, 120, 150 arrows to that bow. Like I said, we set it up right before Haskell's, and then Oklahoma weather, that wind was blowing 30, 40 mile an hour Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. So that's where I was kind of lacking on my confidence with that bow. But once I got there and started doing some practicing, and, I felt confident in the bow that, hey, it's going to do what I need to do. I just got to do me now. And it ended up panning out pretty good.
Tell us how you got the bow set up. What are you shooting with it?
Okay, so it's a Sequel 35. I think it's like a 28 3/4 inch draw length. I shoot the Shibuya CP Pro sight and their Oculus scope. It's got a clear targets 6-barrel lens. I run a Hamsky as a blade, not running as a drop away. Shrewd bars front and back, 30 up front, 12 in the back. Weights, I don't really know the exact number, but I mean, it's got a fair amount of weight on it. And then arrows, shooting the Ultra 25s, 125 or 128 grains up front. And the release for that weekend, I happen to be using a B3 release. I don't even know what model it is. I was struggling, thinking that was one of my issues with when I was shooting the Elite was the release. And Kyle gave me a hinge to try, and it just seems to work. So I continued to run it for the weekend. I think it's an Infinity Pro maybe, but.
So which bow did you switch from?
I was shooting the Elite Exalt 35.
Okay.
And I really, truly, really did like the way that bow felt. I mean, it held great. It really was a very good bow in the hand. I just, for some reason, could not get the thing to perform the way I felt like it should perform. And, you can only do it for so long after. I mean, I went through and tried different arrows, different releases, the way I anchored the bow, changed the draw length. I mean, changed holding weights, let off. I mean, I felt like I threw the kitchen sink at it and just could not get it to do what I wanted it to do.
Well, the old bow versus the new bow. Did you set them up the way you started with or finished with the Elite, or did you literally just take a new blank sheet of paper and says, I'm just going to start right here in the middle and go from there?
No, I took my sight off, put it on the new bow, took my rest off. In fact, the bow was Kyle Anderson used it for the NFA field shoot. He borrowed it from the shop, and it still had his D-loop and stuff on it. Like, I didn't change it. I just threw my rest on it, centered it up, got center shot,
Okay.
threw my weights, my bar mount. I didn't change my weights, the angle of my rear bar. Nothing. I just threw it together and went out in the shop, and there was a 3-spot hung up, and I was aiming to get center, and as soon as it hit center on the middle of that target, I went and shot a 300 round and shot a 298 with it. I mean, maybe 10 arrows into it, and then left there, went home, built a sight tape, and the next day we went to Choctaw. Like I said, I have very few arrows through that bow. And,
that is awesome.
it makes me, I feel like, do I even want to touch this right now? It's doing what I wanted to do. I may or may not play with some of the bars a little bit, maybe change the angle just to get it to hold maybe a little bit better. But other than that, nothing. I'm going to keep running the way it is. The bow holds great. I mean, feels great. I love the draw cycle. It is actually very comparable to that Exalt as far as the draw cycle goes. And I mean, I really have no complaints about it right now.
When I'm at that point, just like you, when I decide, okay, I want to just tweak just this, man, I take my phone out and I take a picture of everything that I want to change so that I can get it back to the way it was if I just don't like it.
Yeah. That's kind of the way I feel like right now. If I make changes, they're going to be very, very minute changes that aren't going to take a lot to get me back to where I start. That way, if I don't like it, it's just bam, right back together, and it's on to the next deal. So
cool.
That's the thing about everybody might be scared of buying a used bow versus a new bow. If Kyle Anderson's put the D-loop on there, he's spun that thing up and down the string to get it to hold just right. And a lot of times you give me a new one, it takes a little bit of playing with it over days, maybe weeks, to figure out exactly where that bow's D-loop needs to be, how high up or down to get it to hold just right. When you get one that's your buddy set up and he's put some time into it, man, you are saving yours. And you're coming from a 35 going to a 35. So your axle to axle was pretty much the same. No kind of string angle difference to speak of.
Yeah. I was able to take the measurement off my P pipe and, just run it straight across. And I mean, it may have been just a skosh one way or the other, but I mean, it dropped in. I really don't feel like I'm having to come out of my peep to scope alignment. It really just, it's flawless right now. I feel like. So.
Well, it's batting 1,000 as far as winning, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just hoping it's not the Exalt. I had a really good honeymoon phase with that bow, indoor wise. It seems like when we went outdoors, when I started struggling with it, I'm hoping this one lasts, through the rest of the season and, into indoor season. I'm just hoping that this is it. I'm really one. I don't like to make a lot of changes if I don't have to. I mean, if I'm making a change, I try to break it down. And I'll even I'll bounce stuff off Kyle's head. I'll call him up and be like, hey man, this is my issue. This is what I'm thinking. Do you think I'm thinking the right way before I, make a change or, or if I call Brandon or I'll talk to Chris or whoever it may be. Like I try to be pretty, I don't want to be like a voodoo, like, oh, this is the problem, but I can't give you a reason why it's the problem. Like I want some explanation before I do it. And so, like I said, I try to be methodical in my changes.
That's the Rick Gilly phone call for me. It's Rick, here's what I've done in this order. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's why I don't think it works. Help. And usually it's, point weight, spine, draw length. It's always draw length, peep sight, height. There's always something that they're going to tell you in some specific order. And then you have to go chase your tail, putting the bow back. Got to move the peep sight now. Now we got to change the sight tape. Now we got to redo the rest. Now we got to insert the blank here. And it's go time for 3D season. I mean, we've got one qualifier left this weekend coming up at the back 80 bow shooters in Cherokee, Oklahoma. And then we get a week off to go. Hopefully everybody go to Arkansas and Kansas State. And then we got Oklahoma State, 18th, 19th, 20th of July. And then a week for Texas or Missouri, depending on what side of the state you're on. I'm going to try to hit both because I'm on a death mission to succumb to the heat out in the out on the trail. And then we go to Coleman and we're done. I mean, that's it. So making changes this late in the year, if you got a honeymoon phase, you're going to be in it all the way through the Classic. So,
oh yeah. And that's what I say. If I'm going to make a change, it's going to be a very, maybe play with an ounce here and there, maybe play with a couple degrees on the back bar. I mean, like I said, very minute, but right now it's hard to me even want to consider it just because it worked. It did its job. I did my job, and the results showed at the end.
I struggle with that personally because I'll have a good day and then I'll have a bad day, and I never want to blame the bow. I want to blame the idiot holding it, but that makes me stubborn to not go tinker with it. When you can if you're bobbing up and down, shorten the draw length, play with the D loop, take a little bit of front weight off. But I know that it hit good and I shot it good that day, but it didn't happen this last time. So what do I do now? Do you just roll with it and be stubborn? Or is it like, don't be afraid to play with it a little bit. You could find out it makes it better. So that's a hard thing mid-season for any competitive archer to deal with. I mean, we've all gone through it. Dave likes to tinker. He'll admit it to you. But yeah, dude, it was a heck of a weekend for you. I know this one's been a long time coming for you, just because when you started judging, I don't remember you ever going to open 40 or open 45. I think you went straight to the back stake, didn't you?
Yeah. So this is from my big break. This is my 4th year. My first year, I shot maybe 3/4 of a season of K45. And then I was like, the K45 is fun and stuff, but when I shot before, we didn't have rangefinder. We did a lot of judging. I did very well judging in the past, and yeah, it was had to knock the dust off that deal and get recalibrated and acclimated to it, and it's a work in progress getting there, but I'm super glad I did it. I'm not taking anything away from using a rangefinder. I don't know. It's just different. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your judging strategy. Are you shooting a lower with the biggest number you can on it? Are you shooting an upper and letting it fall if you're short? What's Ronnie's course management for Unknown Yardage 101?
So I have a handful of targets that I'll shoot an upper on no matter what. Bed buck, I'm gonna shoot an upper on. The black cat, I'm gonna shoot an upper on. The rest of them, I don't have a one direction or the other. I'm not a complete, like, I will say this last weekend, it was like a 50-50 deal. I probably got half of them were uppers and half of them were lowers. And it all kind of based off my number, of like, I feel like I got a number that's, say I look at it, it's 42 yards, but I can't see it any closer to that, but I could see it possibly being a little bit further. I may call the upper on it and vice versa, I don't have a 100% every single target. I know there's people that they all strictly only shoot lowers, and there's another group that only shoot uppers. I'm not like that. I'll just kind of take it target by target. Every target's got its own, something that I'm seeing or feeling that will make me want to go one way or the other.
Let's say the 12 ring's completely covered up, full of arrows. Will that force you down to something different than you want?
So yes, and this happened to me on the last target. I was 12 up. We walked up the stake, we judged it. I went back, set my sight, set it to 42 yards, and I had 2 shooters in front of me. They shot phenomenal. I mean, they covered up the lower 12 ring. There wasn't a ounce of real estate in there that I felt comfortable trying to put an arrow in. And
But you did it anyways, didn't you?
Well, no, I didn't. I walked up to the stake and already knowing where I was sitting at, being 12 up, and this is the last arrow, and I'm ready to just put an arrow in the foam and walk off and be done with the day. I kept my number in there, but usually, if I do go with an upper, I'll knock a yard or two off of it, for just a little bit of a cushion. I'd much rather drop out of the bottom than poke out of the top and lose some points. And I was so ready to be done, I didn't shave my numbers. And sure enough, I was comfortable with my number, but I was, gunned at that upper a little too hard, and I probably poked out of it maybe a 1/4 inch out of the top for an 8, and dropped 2 points on the last target. And it was one of those. It was definitely a learning moment. To stay focused all the way through the shot. I mean, through the whole process. And I was just, like I said, I was ready to be done. I kind of felt like I was in a good spot. I didn't know I was in that good of a spot, but I could have very easily shaved my 2 yard and a half off that and finished 14 up for the day. But, just a small little mistake. I mean, that could have cost me first place, second place, whatever.
I could have been charging people for psychic readings of predicting your scores if not for that 2-yard shave job.
Yeah, I know, man. Like if that would have happened, I probably would have never heard the end of it from you. I mean,
I was close. I almost didn't believe the bow was yours till I saw those V bars kick back up like this, and I was like, "Dang, that guy's got his Darton set up like Ronnie. Dang, that guy holding that bow is Ronnie. Ronnie, when'd you get a Darton?" He's like, like 4 days ago."
All right,
let's roll it, dude.
You finished your last shot. You guys all are figuring your scorecards. You walk back up. You're shaking hands. Thank you. Yeah, I had a good day. And you got to wait and see how it all comes out.
Yeah. So when we added up the scores, my group happened to be the first group done, and I went and turned it in. There was no other cards. And then like right after that, like I said, I felt like I talking back and forth with Kyle. I knew Kyle was down 1 or up 2 or somewhere, like still really good. I heard another group guy say he was like 3 up. But when I, turned in my cards and the next group came in and, it was like, up 7. I was like, okay, like I'm still doing good. Another group come up, turning in another up 7. And then another group turned in like an up 3. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit here and wait until all these cards are turned in because I don't think I can wait an hour for them to post it on the website. So I sat there and, I mean, just after every card was handled in, it was starting to become a reality. Like, holy crap! Like, I may have found myself at the top of the leaderboard on the first day.
Who was your first phone call to? When you found out that you won?
Oh, after I won. So that was a whole nother story.
We're going to get there, Dave. We got some stories to tell first.
Oh yeah. So finally, there was like 1 or 2 groups left. I was pretty confident, like, okay, let's leave. We got the car unpacked, packed everything up, and we're heading to dinner. And between the drive from there to dinner, they posted the scores, and there my name said. I was like, holy crap! Like, this is crazy. We met a bunch of the G2 guys at dinner, Kyle and Ryan and Quinn and Josh Jacobson. And, they were, just ecstatic as I was. I mean, it was, we had a good dinner about it. And the reality hit when I got back to the hotel room. I was able to sit down and process it and actually open up the scores and, see, I only had a 1 bonus ring cushion. And then there was some 7-ups and then I'm looking at 1 through, the top 15 shooters, and man, there's some heavy hitters in that class. And I'm like, holy crap, every single one of these guys are very capable of putting up a big number on the second day. And then it's,
that's right. This is before you knew it was going to get canceled, didn't you?
Yeah, this is Friday evening.
So you haven't processed you won yet. Processing, you're just setting number 1.
Yeah, I'm just setting number 1 after day 1. And
my gosh, I've got you.
I get to the hotel room and I start analyzing the day. What did I do good? What could have I done better? What boneheaded decisions did I make? And of course, on that last target, and really, like, I couldn't harp on myself too bad. Like I shot 8 bonus rings. I was like, damn, that's almost half the range in bonus rings. Only had 3 8s. That's not terrible. So I really couldn't walk off with any real negative, thing to really bring me down. It was just, okay, let's go into day 2, the same mentality, the same, like, go get it, just let's have another good day of shooting. And so Saturday morning, that was like the longest morning ever. You know, we show up on site, I unpack. First thing I usually do is just go to the bags and make sure nothing's, out of whack. We go over to Mark's trailer and we're over there hanging out and BSing, and that the sky just starts looking darker and darker and darker. And next thing you know, you hear just a little bit of thunder, then boom, big lightning strike, and I can't tell you how many inches of rain have dropped in the matter of minutes. And it was funny. Josh Jacobson and Kyle Anderson come walking up, and one of them kind of smarted off, said, "I bet you're praying for him to cancel this." And I'm like, "Why? Why would I want him to cancel that? Like I'm ready to go out there and shoot." And he goes, "Well, if they cancel it, you win." I'm like, "What do you mean?" Like it never crossed my mind that, like, hey, they call this right now and it's a done deal. And so after that conversation, I'm having two different mental deals. Like, I'm trying to be mentally prepared to go out and shoot another good round of shooting. And then there's that whole possibility that they could say done deal. And, I've won, And so, like I said, they pushed back our shoot time like an hour and a half. And so, like I said, we were over there for like 2 hours, and that just going back and forth in my head, it made for a long morning into the afternoon. And then I've never really been, in the spot of, being on the podium or whatnot. I walked up to Kyle. I said, "Man, do you think I ought to go through and sign the contingency books?" But I also didn't want to jinx myself and go there and, sign it and then have a bad day of shooting. And he's like, "Well, I mean, you probably need to no matter what." And so I was like, "Well, I'll wait and see what it's going to do." And next thing you know, we got a bunch more people over there, and it's kind of looking like it's going to clear up. And then we hear that they're having a competition committee meeting about right now. And I finally told Kyle, I said, "Man, I'm going to go make my way through the village and sign all my stuff." And, I come back and we're sitting in a group. We got a bunch of Oklahoma shooters, and there's a handful of semi-pro shooters in there. And Chris Hammond gets a message coming through his phone. He pulls it out and he starts reading off. And, he says they have decided to call the shoot due to safety reasons, and another storm is potentially coming through. And even when he said that, it really did not click until he looked at me and said, "Congratulations, you just won." I'm just like, I mean, it was, it kind of hit a little different after, the words come out of his mouth and, you start to process in it. And a lot of people don't know this. I left Minden in the dirt. I finished dead last there and came home. I was ready to be done with it.
You mean last year?
No, Minden last month.
Last month. Okay.
Yeah, well, 2 months ago. So that London got, the tornado took it out. But I left Minden 2 months ago, dead last. And I had a long 6-hour drive contemplating my life decisions, especially when it came to archery. And having been at the lowest of the lowest to doing what I just accomplished, I mean, it hit a little bit different, it was pretty emotional for me. But on the same note, it kind of just rejuvenated my focus. I mean, after I figured out what just happened, I figured I'm capable of shooting this well. I always kind of knew it deep down inside, but until you do it, it's one thing versus telling yourself that. And so, like I said, it was a relief. I feel awesome, but now it's like a whole nother weight, like it's a new expectation. Like, hey, you're capable of shooting like this. Let's shoot like this every weekend now, and try not to let it go to your head. And I don't know how to describe it. Just try to keep on the positive side of it and keep rolling and building off of it, and just keep the momentum going. That's the whole deal with it.
Keep being Ronnie Plummer.
Yeah, just go out there, do what I need to do, not have to worry about a bow that is not performing to where I want it to be, and just have a good day of shooting, have fun. It was such a relief to be able to just do that.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's inspirational for anybody. That is awesome, buddy.
For everybody that doesn't realize at home, Ronnie shoots the same stake as the pros in the semi-pro division. It's the same range, the same 50-yard max. Most of these guys in his division are a win and a podium finish away from getting kicked out of the semi-pro division into the pro division. So ASA has a move-out rule where if you win X amount of dollars, like 120% of your, or 100 times the entry fee, you're automatically kicked up into the next division. So this is and he started judging in semi-pro. I agree with that 100%. If you're going to learn what a javelina and a coyote and a wolverine look like at 50 yards, max is max. Let's go up there. But think of all the broken arrows and missing arrows and points and tips and knocks you're never going to get back. It's got to be sweet coming out on the top, because not only is it the same. I mean, I don't know if you would have looked at the range. I don't know on the scores how far you'd have been out of the top 10 or 15 in the pro division.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually kind of do that, like compare. I mean, I probably shouldn't. The pros they're pros for a reason. They're in a league of their own. But you cannot help not doing that quick little, oh man, I would have been here, And I really wish the pros were able to finish their day on range A or range B, because that's the only range I got to shoot. And I'd like to see where, they would have stacked up at, I know on their day one, I think it was like 16 up or something for the range A on the day one. I know, talking to Ryan and Chris, who shoot open pro, they were on the verge of having like just as good a day or not better as what I had. So it was actually very nice, knowing that, hey, I was, in the mix of that,
It's also gratifying from the years you've put in, knowing, man, I can stand toe to toe to them.
I wouldn't say toe to toe, but
come on, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. That's it. Yes, you can.
They're like I said before, man. The pros are pros for a reason. I look up to so many pros, and shooting the team shoots and being able to shoot with the pros. I haven't met one that I don't like. They're all positive. They're they're motivational. They're there. They'll teach you stuff. And I'm one of those people. I try to learn. It don't matter if you're the top of the top or the bottom of the bottom. You can learn from anybody. I mean, and so, shooting against or with an open 40 shooter on the team shoot, maybe that guy's got a little tip or trick about how he judges just a particular target that you can take and put in your pocket and use it for yourself. And you don't know until that situation arises. So.
You got me so excited about it. I went out and shot 15 targets yesterday with Carl Shipley at his new range, Bowtown, all archery all the time. And I clicked him eventually, but we judged him before. Out of 15 targets, I missed one by 3 yards. I missed one by 1.5 yards. And the other 13 I was within a yard of. And being able to sit there with somebody else and say, okay, you see that twig there? I think that's just over 20. Okay, I double it there. He's got to be 40, but he looks big. So low 40, can't call it 44. And then we'd click it and shoot it. And it is a game inside a game. It is 100%. And you're looking at it, and we're just shooting the two of us. So there wasn't much arrows to aim off of. So it's like, okay, I think he's max, but if he's under, we got to shoot him at the upper. And if it fall, or shoot him at the lower. And if it's less than 45, because we're just rookies down here in the 45-yard class with the peons and the children. But it's an interesting strategy to see what your bow will do at distance. And the great equalizer is you still have to make the shot.
Oh, definitely.
I've told that to Ryan 100 times. It's like he's like, oh yeah, you just shot a 10. I said, oh yeah, with that number. I was like, I shot 10 if I executed the shot. He goes, oh well, that's a given. I was like, no, it's not. That's why we go shoot our bows.
Yeah.
Like you can't take the actual doing of the archery for granted. Like you still got to pull it back, put it in there, squeeze it off, follow through, and pat yourself on the back afterwards. So
it is a game of it's a chess game. I kind of like to say, shooting the known game is kind of like checkers. There is some strategy in that game. There really is. But shooting unknown is a whole nother level. I mean, it is there's days that you come off there just, you'll have the great days, and then you'll have the other days that you're just like, man, why do I do this? And it takes a good judging day, a good shooting day, a good mental process day. I mean, there's so many variables, but
it's
okay.
fun.
Back to my
What you want to tell people is it's fun. Come try it.
Yeah, it is. You got to try everything once in your life. Judging is one of those things you got to do it more than once to get good at it. There's a couple people that are far few between that just naturally pick up on it, and there are so many different processes, I guess, of judging aspects. It seems like everybody's got their own, basically more than one way to skin a cat on that deal. Like everybody's got their process, and I don't have a particular process, but I will listen to other people's processes and see if I can't help incorporate it into my game.
How often do you listen to someone's arrow or see where they hit and then add or subtract some yardage? Does that happen for you quite a bit?
So when I started judging, that was a pretty big part of my game. Listen to that arrow. As I've evolved, it doesn't become as involved. One is like when we go shoot the state stuff, I may not be peer grouped with a bunch of semi-pro shooters. I may get shoved in with some open 45 or open 40 shooters that aren't shooting the speed. And so I can't take that and play with that like on the state level, like you can on the national level, at a program where we're all, 296 and 297. I mean, we're maxed out on what our speed can be, and you can listen off of that. So I've really tried to take that away and really focus on this year. I've really focused on like my ground judging, my just my gut instinct, my gut feeling. I've always kind of been like a gut, just walk up, get an initial gut number, and then start evaluating, okay, I'm thinking it's 42 yards. Is it more than 42 or less than 42? And then just start dwindling down and coming up with your final number. And, maybe listening to the arrow may be like the last resort when we're on target. And I got, not doing a lead off and able to listen to an arrow.
Nobody wants to go first.
Honestly, I don't. It doesn't bother me going first. I mean, I can miss that target going fourth, third, second. It don't matter. It does help hearing that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt my feelings to lead off. Eventually, everybody's got to lead off.
Well, what I always found with that is different terrain changes that sound. And what you're doing is you're hearing the echo of the thump.
Yeah.
And if there's a lot of trees, it's going to come back to you quicker versus if it's opened, it's going to dissipate that noise. So it absorbs it. The silence can absorb. And so it'll change the way you hear stuff. But my question is let's take a national game like you just played. You don't know these guys. On the average, you don't know these guys. You've seen them. You've done all things. But shooting with them week in, week out, it's different. Okay. You're there. Let's say you get 5 targets in. Now you're starting to see, well, let's call it what it is. The cream's going to rise, and the average guys are going to just stay average.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you see a couple of them shoot high. Does that play in your game? Like, wait a minute, they've been really good on marks. Now all of a sudden they're high or low, vice versa. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, definitely. It does. It does play in your. You hit 2 or 3 in a row that
they're right there with you.
They're not the right number, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to see them one way or another, and it could be, the overcast is moving in, the lighting is hitting a little different. Maybe one side of the range is darker than the other, and we had a little bit of that in Metropolis. We had a bright side and a dark side, and it was also the bright side was the long side, and the dark side was the short side of the range for us. And so that was kind of tricky, trying to keep that in the back of your mind when you're playing the game. Like, okay, I'm on the bright side, they're going to appear one way, and then vice versa on the dark side. Okay. So, and if you do start hitting low, it's one of those deals. Do I not go so hard at an upper or lower, or just try to, hit a couple IBOs and recalibrate? And, play safe, not give up points.
I was going to ask that same thing too. Yeah.
And so it's all being quick on your feet and thinking about it, and having the mindset and to process that. Often, I've been there to where you get flustered and you can't focus, and you'll walk up to a target because you've had 3 bad targets before, and you'll sit there and stare at that target for 2 minutes, and like, I can't come up with a number. I mean, my number, my big number, my little number are so far apart. It's like there ain't enough sight tape to cover that. And it's the people that do good are the ones that are able to recover from that and hit the reset button and just move on, it's a challenging, mentally exhausting game. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it can be devastating.
It's when it's bad, it's one of those you get home, first thing you do is put your equipment together, and I'm going to go shoot.
Oh, when it's bad, it's I'm going to go drown my sorrows in bourbon and beat my head on the steering wheel for 8 hours trying to figure out, is it me or the bow or both, or, what am I going to do? And that was actually kind of funny. My past is, I could have one good day, one bad day, and it kind of averages out, or I can have 2 really not too good days. And, you do spend majority of your car ride home processing, trying to figure stuff out. And I looked over at my wife and I was like, I feel lost, heading home. Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be thinking about right now. Like I never, have been in a situation where it's like, man, I just had an awesome weekend and just savor the moment and let it soak in. It was actually kind of nice not to dwell on stuff for 6, 8, 10-hour drive home.
It always makes the drive home a little better when you don't have that.
Oh yeah.
Odd number score coming home, or oh man, it could have been a good one, or if I would have
just an absolute dumpster fire, which I've been known to have a time or two.
Well, you know what? At Coleman, no matter what, we are going back to that same old bar with those chicken wings that we got.
Oh, I'm definitely we the smoked chicken wings and then the little Italian restaurant. Those are my two go-to places. That place is come January 1st. That's what I'm looking for all year long, is going to Coleman and getting some good food.
Yeah. It's the reward for surviving another year of 3D archery. Yeah. And I'll say, just from a state director's standpoint, I know there's a lot of frustrated people that went to Metropolis. Ronnie got to shoot his round because the semi-pros and the pros both shoot Friday, Saturday. There's no Sunday. Everybody else out there is a Friday option and either Saturday round or Sunday round. I realize there's a lot of frustrated people that traveled and didn't get to shoot their bow.
Yeah.
Please try to keep the comments out there positive. It's a safety concern. Have everybody's holding a bow and a stool. They're both a lightning rod.
Exactly.
And as soon as that first raindrop fell, it immediately had lightning behind it. And sometimes it can rain all day and you don't see thunder, you don't see lightning, no big deal. This was not that kind of storm. Please be as understanding as possible.
We were at Mark's trailer, BS and stuff, and I looked up and there was a lightning struck that was right on top of A and B range, which is the range we were shooting on. And I was like, holy crap, that had to have hit a target. And sure enough, a guy walked off and said that lightning strike hit right behind this javelina. I'm surprised it didn't blow that thing apart. And it struck, and then it was like a light switch of rain that turned on right after it. And, it was just all going. And that was the other thing, I truly feel bad for the archers that did drive all the way, over there, did not get to shoot one round, put one scoreable arrow in the target. And then not only that, we had a bunch of Oklahoma shooters. We're one big family. And, that's one thing I do love about the sport is Oklahoma's pretty tight-knit. Everybody's friends with everybody. We had a bunch of shooters that, Dustin Leader, he was 7 targets away from getting on the podium. He was making a run at it. I know Easton Gregg was kind of 50-50. He is a very capable shooter. I think he could have made it up there. I know Chris Hammond was making a comeback. He was a few targets from possibly making a shoot down. So it's kind of heartbreaking to see so many of these shooters that did not get the opportunity to, finish their round and, have an awesome weekend, and just over something as bad as the weather that you have no control over.
It kind of puts the reality of every shot does count then.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was 32 targets in with 16 12s. I was getting ready to go on me. No, I wasn't. My first day, I shot 11 12s, 4 8s, and a nickel. Shot 11 12s and ended 9 up. It was ugly.
That's also like the conversation that I had with Kyle. I was like, man, like I feel good. Like I won, but it's like, man, I won off of kind of like Mother Nature dictating it. And Kyle was like, dude, you won because you put yourself in that position on
That's right.
Day of shooting. And so it kind of does. Yes, it does. That is the fact of the matter. Like I'm there because where I put myself at after day one, but it's also inside, like Friday night all the way to Saturday morning, I was mentally prepared. Like, let's go down, throw down a 2 days of kick-ass shooting. And, it is a little bit of heartbreaking, that I did not get to do it, but I'm like, I'm going to take this momentum and roll into Coleman and try to do it again. Like I have some really good confidence. I have a really good support group. My wife is very supportive of everything I do. All of my shooting partners. I mean, just like I said, the whole ASA family is very supportive. I mean, we all root for each other. I mean, not even the ASA, Oklahoma ASA, just the group of semi-pro shooters that I shoot with, we're all supportive. I mean, I want to talk a little smack to you and root for you at the same time. Like you drop a 50-yard bomb in the 12 ring, I'm going to be over there cheering you like, good shot. Awesome. Like I'm going to be just pumped as you are about it. So, like I said, I really love the tightness of the shooting community. It's pretty special.
Cool.
It's a good group of people. Well, I know we've got balls to the wall schedule the next month. So big invitation to everybody. If you need another shooter of the year score, Back 80 is going to have a Friday or a Saturday, Sunday qualifier up there in Cherokee. And then next week we've got Kansas and Arkansas state championship, 12th and 13th, I think. 12th and 13th, maybe 11th and 12th. It's Friday, Saturday. I don't know what day it is. Week after that, guys, please go get registered for state at Oklahoma. That's going to be at the OKC Gun Club. We're setting 230 target ranges. Big shout out to the Roberts family, Brad, Rob, everybody over at the Gun Club for all they do. I know they're gearing up for this one to be a big one. And then a couple weeks till Coleman. Don't forget to hit Texas State in between. So it's like some people think the season slows down. For me, this is when it kicks into hyperdrive because go get those rounds, be shooting under pressure, and be ready to go eat chicken wings with us in Coleman. I mean, if you're 20 up or 20 down, there's probably some bourbon for that. It's either happy bourbon or sad bourbon, and it's been there for a lot better archers than me. Yeah. So Ronnie, I appreciate you sitting down with us, man, and really congrats again. That was the coolest thing to see. Not because you're one of our guys, not because you're shooting a dart, just because I know you put the work into it, and seeing your family be there with you is one of my favorite parts of the ASA. I mean, we got to give Waylon a shout out. That kid's an absolute hammer. So. I appreciate seeing y'all at as many of these as you make it to. I know it's not easy scheduling wise when it's all summer, every weekend, all archery all the time. So don't think that doesn't go unnoticed. I know the work you put in at home can go pay off at a big national shoot.
Oh, so. Definitely. Yeah. Just getting out there and practicing whenever you can and having a good attitude with stuff and just being around the right people, it makes a difference in this sport. It really does.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right.
I appreciate y'all guys having me on.
Ronnie, thank you. And congratulations once more.
Thank you again, sir.
Awesome.
So
keep it rolling, man. We'll see y'all out there.
All right. You guys have a good evening.